When you're thinking about buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat method, or purchasing a fix and flip for the first time, it may be intimidating trying to figure out what the actual ARV is. Since after repair value, ARV, is such an important factor when considering whether or not to pursue a particular investment property, it is imperative that you analyze these numbers correctly. What you would definitely hate to pass up on is a good deal because your ARV is too low, or that you pursued an investment only to find out that your estimated ARV is too high. That's why I don't depend on anybody but myself or a licensed appraiser to calculate ARV of a specific property. Hey, what's going on, my sexy McMuffins? Tyson Dela Cruz here. Thank you so much for joining me. In this video, I'll show you my preferred method of calculating ARV on your own so that you can feel confident when you're submitting an offer or passing up on a deal. The most important part of estimating ARV is using comparable properties that have recently been sold near the subject property. When determining the after repair value of a property, we need to use properties that have sold that are similar or comparable to what our property might look like in the future. So if our property has 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and a garage, we would search for comparable properties, comps, with the same features. Our goal is then to generate an accurate price per square foot of comparable properties that have sold within the last 6 months. If there's absolutely nothing that's sold comparable, then we can begin to widen our search criteria, widen the time frame to maybe 12 months. I'm going to use a real-life example of one of my properties so that you can follow along. I'm also going to use Zillow as the website of choice to source our data that we need to run our comps. The subject property is here in Las Vegas. The address is 5656 Gorham Avenue, 89110. I created a spreadsheet with formulas so that you can easily plug in the details and calculate your own ARV. I'll place a link for that in the description below. Please note the Excel spreadsheet I'm providing has comps we ran as of February 2021. As we all know, comps continue to change as more properties get sold. What you're gonna do, you're gonna open the Excel spreadsheet and write the property details at the top. Our subject property is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,380 square feet. The first column, you'll have the address, then the bedrooms, bathrooms, and the number of square feet. Then you're gonna head over to Zillow.com. Find the property you're analyzing on Zillow.com. Once you type in 5656 Gorham Avenue in the Zillow search bar, in the property's details page, you'll see Zillow has a section called Neighborhood Details. And you'll see where it says the name of the neighborhood the property is in. Close the property's detail page and copy and paste the neighborhood name and the city into the Zillow search bar. Our subject property's neighborhood name is Sunrise Manor in Las Vegas, Nevada. If the neighborhood of the subject property is very small, you'll then have to click the Remove Boundary button and allow you to see the neighboring neighborhoods, and they'll show up as well. Then you're gonna select the correct filters. These are the filters we've selected on Zillow's search engine. Make sure to select Sold as a filter. You can leave the price alone. Then select the number of bedrooms. We're doing 3 bedrooms, 2 bath. For the home type, unselect everything except for houses. Now you're gonna scroll down a bit under the More tab, enter the range that matches closest to the amount of square foot that the subject property has. In this case, we're gonna use 1,000 to 1,500 square feet. If you don't see many results and the property square foot is close, one of the ranges you've selected, you can widen the search just a little bit, and finally scroll down and select Sold in the past 6 months. Drop down, make the necessary adjustments for pools, lot square footage, then select Done. Now you'll see all the properties that can potentially be the ARV comp for the subject property. Then you're gonna find comparable rehab properties if that's what you're ultimately gonna do to the subject property. This is one of the most important parts here. It can be a little bit time consuming, but it's extremely important that you use the correct properties as comps. You cannot get the price per square foot of every single property that's sold with the criteria above, because you'll probably be comparing against distressed properties as well. So you need to filter through those properties and find the actual comparable ones based on what you're ultimately going to do to the property. Order the results by the newest ones sold so that you can see what just sold. If you're planning on performing a full rehab, then only select the properties that are fully rehabbed. Here's kind of the time-consuming portion. You have to click through each sold listing and quickly scroll through the photos to see if the property has been rehabbed or not. If it's not rehabbed and you're looking to rehab the subject property, simply just ignore it. Next, you're gonna plug in the properties that are comparable to your subject property on the Excel sheet. One of the most important parts here, not to forget, is look at properties that have similar rehabs based on what you're planning to do to the subject property. Each property will go in a new row, and you should aim to at least have 3 or 4 comps to get the most accurate number. You're also going to include the price of the comparable properties in which they were sold at. In the last column, you will have a very simple formula that divides sold price by the number of square feet. This will ultimately provide you with the price per square foot of each comparable property in which they were sold. Now it's time to get the average price per square foot. Adding up the price per square foot of each comp gives us a total of 601. In this case, we have 3 comps. Divide 601 by 3, and that'll get you the average price per square foot. Comes out to a total of $200. Another option I like to do here is getting the median price per square foot as well. That'll give you a range of the ARV, since doing analysis like this are rarely ever accurate. Then multiply the average price per square foot by the number of square feet of the subject property. The final step here, one more simple equation. You'll see the median and average price per square foot in this specific column. Based on the finishes, you can price your finished property accordingly. And voila, you're all done. Seems pretty simple, right? It's definitely not rocket science here. It just takes a little bit of a time to get the basic things done and do some basic math. But it's important because you want to feel confident that you have the most accurate ARV possible, since it's your money on the line or your investors' money on the line. I hope you found this quick tutorial and Excel sheet very helpful and easy to use to calculate your ARV. You got to protect yourself from bad ARV. A misguided ARV will sink you. Whether or not it's a flip or a rental, if you're off on this number, it's gonna hurt. So how do you protect yourself from a bad ARV? Aside from following the tips in the outline above, make sure that you're not overvaluing your rehab. Many real estate investors and wholesalers make this mistake. But it's brand new and it's completely gutted. I don't give a f. That doesn't matter as much as you think. When it comes down to it, a buyer is usually going to finance the property. And that means that the bank will require an appraisal. When calculating what a property is worth, it's important to evaluate it from the perspective of a real estate appraiser. They're the gatekeepers when it comes to getting a transaction pushed through. If a property's value doesn't jive with the contracted price, it can cause some big problems for not only the buyer, but the seller as well, especially on flips. It will be worth hiring an independent appraiser prior to selling or even rehabbing, and give you a realistic idea of what the actual ARV is worth. Of course, appraisers have also been known to make mistakes, so take everything with a grain of salt here. Getting an appraisal and an inspection prior to purchasing a property can be a powerful sales weapon if you use it correctly. If you're thinking about pricing a property at $250,000 and the appraiser says it'll be worth $260,000, your marketing campaign just got you a gift. You can market the property at $250,000 and say that it's priced $10K under appraised value. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Buyers love a good deal. Guys, if you like this video, go ahead and smash that like button down below. As always, be kind, rewind. Peace.